I can't help it. I don't know what to do. The bug is real. Nick,
But on the flip side, they're gonna make more money than they've ever seen in their life. So it's all good.
I'm literally gonna make more money in sports cards this year than I made in VaynerMedia the last 10 years. It's like absurd.
You got your perspective. I just want to be happy. Don't you want to be happy?
Welcome, Nick.
Hi.
Nick, this is going to be awfully difficult because you and I have been completely addicted to sports cards together. I've been sprinkling it in. I'm so addicted. I'm sure Andrea's like, why is Gary doing? I mean, he's usually pretty weird, but this is like take next level. I literally want to take all 20 minutes and just talk to you about vintage basketball and Prism and Zions. But let's first talk about, you joined TikTok when again?
April 20th.
Right.
20th.
So like how is it transitioning, for everybody, right? A lot of people are about to get new jobs. People are starting to get new jobs right now. Being respectful of the audience and trying to bring the most value. What was the biggest challenge and what's been the biggest gift of joining a new org in the middle of the pandemic?
Yeah, I'll start with the biggest gift. All that awkwardness where you get to the office and you're like, where do I sit? Who do I have lunch with? What do I do? Where's the coffee? Where's that? And you don't have to worry about that at all. So like getting that out of the way, it's been easy to just work from home and then get to meet people through Zoom and on meetings and just get to know them as people before you're like worried about, where everything is in the office. I'd say on the flip side, all those casual conversations that you have that are unplanned and spontaneous, we're not having that at this time. So it is a little bit more difficult and you have to plan these encounters a little bit more thoughtfully with the team, even if it's like a 5-minute check-in here or there, or I have office hours where people can just like Zoom me during that time just to make sure that they get some FaceTime to try to recreate those spontaneous moments. The other random thing that I did for my team that I think was fun is when you're in this environment, you're not networking outside of your team. You basically see your team every day, every meeting, each week, and you're not getting access to people outside. So I've been inviting special guests into the team meetings so that they can meet either influencers or artists or people that they admire outside. And I've even asked them to give me requests on who they want to talk to next. And it's surprising because it'll range from a celebrity or a music artist to like an actual business leader that runs brand for another company. So bringing people into the mix and getting them to, network outside of the team has been pretty fun.
What most surprised you about TikTok? You're obviously, you've had a skyrocketing career. You've been in all sorts of incredible brands. And so for me, you're not coming into this role not knowing TikTok. You probably come into this role knowing TikTok way better than most people in corporate land. You were at Hulu prior, Taco Bell. Like I admire you tremendously. So what did surprise you though? When, no matter what, when you get under the hood, it becomes different. What stood out?
This is gonna sound set up, but it's not at all. I came in the midst of the pandemic and Black Lives Matter protests, and to see the amount of empathy from the leadership down on not only like what is happening with the business, because they actually didn't worry about that as much as they cared about what are we doing to help voices be heard and shared? What are we doing to help COVID relief efforts? How are we deploying funds and charitable contributions? Like the thing that we did with you, the live stream, like that was a big initiative for the company, not because of users.
I don't know if my team reached out to you, but my team in London is working with UNICEF. And this morning I confirmed that I'm going to do something, I think on Monday.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to the platform, not for 12 hours. That was fucking insane. But I'm going on for 2 hours, I think. So,
yeah, but that's the stuff that I didn't expect coming in under the hood. Like I thought it was just a platform and that you're marketing platform, but coming in, they really want to just do good in the world and help others in a meaningful way and provide impact. So that's why when we're talking to you and we threw out the idea of like, hey, let's raise money for Meals on Wheels and No Kid Hungry, it was like a no-brainer in terms of like, yes, absolutely. How can we support and how can we contribute and how do we make this a bigger thing to help support things that are important for us? So I've been able to see that side of TikTok, which I don't think most people get to see, which has been pretty dope.
Is it challenging being on a brand, a platform that obviously has the dynamic of being China owned in a highly political kind of environment? Like because I always advocate where there's underpriced attention, and every single person watching here, not because of Nick, because like I said earlier, I'm only buying him one Oreo. I don't care that much. Not because I own zero of ByteDance and TikTok, even though that gets thrown around every day. Like, it's just because I think the platform is extremely right. So when people, as soon as anything TikTok's in the news, I basically get two massive alerts right now. Either A, something's going on with TikTok and I've got to answer for it because like I'm like the Pied Piper, or two, some sports car just went up 4 times and people are trying to figure out if I like talked about it. Like, both intersect in your world. Is that challenging a little bit though? Like when people are just spreading non-truths and it's like, oh, or like, just like has that been daunting or not really?
Not really, because honestly, we're a global company, so I don't really worry about individual areas or regions. I'd say as a global company, we really try to embody that same empathy and passion that I just mentioned about earlier across every region. From a personal standpoint, that's the stuff that fuels me. Like I've been to companies where I get dropped in at Taco Bell in a month. They have this, crisis, and it's like a lawsuit, on their beef. And then I get to Samsung, and then phones start catching
Phones
up.
are on fire.
So it's like, for me, it's sort of par for the course. I
Nick,
jokingly,
Nick, can we break the news here that maybe you're no, even though you might be the hottest prospect in all of marketing, you might also actually be a bad luck charm. Should we firm that up here on marketing for the now? Like
yeah,
you are starting to make me like I'm always secretly courting you to eventually work with you, but I'm like, wait a minute, something bad might happen a week after we get that deal done.
No, it will happen, but it'll be the best thing for you. It'll be the best thing for any company that I'm at. Because
Talk to me about the chip on the shoulder. Actually, my number one question, which I've never asked you, is you really have had a skyrocketing career. Like I had so many people admire you in my circles before I got to really know you. Like, who the hell is this kid? Do you think it is the chip on the shoulder? Like, do you think it's something from childhood? Is it the luck of the draw of DNA? Is there something that you can pinpoint? Because I do think I have a lot of ambitious, hungry characters watching right now that either may want to do it entrepreneur-wise or may want to crush it, corporate marketing-wise. And they're learning a lot by watching me and then have that leverage. Is there some insight to, like, if, this is a tough question. Why are you so awesome? But like, humbly, to the best of your ability, like, what is there an insight that can help somebody who's watching now, like why this has happened?
It's one of those things where you know, I've talked about this over dinner before, and I've never tried to dissect like the path that I've had too closely. But we've talked about being having immigrant parents, and like I noticed that like my friend circle, without me realizing it, every single one of my close friends that were like groomsmen at my wedding, they all are first generation Americans. So I think there's a little bit of that, like you have to hustle and you have to always grind just to like catch up to people who have been here for generations and have things established and all that stuff. And I think especially in today's time, you're seeing that come to light in a big way, both positive and both negative. And I think chip on the shoulder is that like I don't want to ever be told like this is where you fit, or this is how you should conform, or this is what it takes for you to be successful. It's just to like, act like you belong. Like I want to actually prove that like it's not about acting like belong. Like we're actually setting the foundation and the framework for what should be the case for the future.
Nick, something we haven't talked about even privately is I thought you were hacking culture in a very significant way with Hulu. Even though some of the ways you did it pissed me off, Tom fucking Brady. But you in a very short period of time, like, there's a lot of executives who are watching right now who are going to get their next marketing job. What enabled you to do so many, some of the cash stuff, like with the athletes, the Brady thing, which caused a huge spur. There was a lot. What kind of freedom and what kind of actions as an executive does one who's watching this right now have to do to get the breathing room to, what should people look for to be, I mean, that was just a lot of good output in a short period of time. And I was really like, what's the mix? What's the makeup of that?
It's a few things. I think coming into a situation where people don't feel like they have everything together is a good thing. Like coming into a company when they're sort of about to take off versus they've already made it has been huge for me. And also having leaders that kind of come into the situation knowing that I'm bringing a certain thing to the table and they're embracing that and they're giving me that runway to do it. Like Kelly at Hulu basically said, you're not just going to run brand, you're going to run brand and culture. And the reason why I'm doing that purposefully is because you are someone that I think has a pulse on both, and you can actually weave that in a way that helps us, really cement ourselves in culture. So I think I've always come into a place where they didn't feel like they had it together, and I always worked for a leader that basically said, here are the keys, go run with it. And then let us know if you need any help and support. I mean, even at the highest level at Hulu with Randy, former CEO, he was very open and willing to take risks, even from the first campaign, which we called Better Ruins Everything. Like the tagline was, we're about to ruin TV for you. And this is like a streaming company saying that we're going to ruin TV for you, which was sort of like, bold and really like taking the traditional idea of TV and flipping it on its head. And I think having their support really helped me do what I was able to do in a short amount of time.
What about your own behavior? What's really stood out during COVID?
My own behavior?
Yeah, like what are you watching? Yeah,
I don't watch things anymore. I just watch eBay.
Like, do you just live on eBay and just try to buy sports cards? Andrea, no, I see you laughing. Andrea, this is real. We have a disease. Something very bad is happening. Andrea, there's a substantial chance that VaynerMedia is going to turn into a sports card store. That literally when we all come back, Amy, I'm sorry about this. Like when you come back into the office, you're going to be standing behind a glass case trying to sell optic rookie cards of Patrick Mahomes. So I can't help it. I don't know what to do. The bug is real. Nick?
But on the flip side, they're gonna make more money than they've ever seen in their life. So
I'm literally gonna make more money in sports cards this year than I made in VaynerMedia the last 10 years. It's like absurd.
Yes.
Actually, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Fuck it. Obviously, I come to you early on because I knew you like sports culture. We've worked together a little bit, but not as much based on like how much we vibe. Complex Con, different things. We've introduced our friends to each other. Let's just break this down because you weren't around and we didn't know each other when I was going to everybody in 2005 and 6 and saying, we need to put all our money into Facebook and Twitter when social media was not a thing.
Yeah.
It was 15 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
Please tell the audience here, when I call you the first time and say, Nick, you need to spend all your money on sports cards. What goes through your head? You're a big time innovator. You see shit. I actually never fully heard you articulate it. Like what's that initial like processes when you hear something very left field?
Yeah. And I remember the time, the moment, the place.
Where was it? Yeah. Tell me. I don't remember.
Yeah. We were at a restaurant having breakfast. It was called Lunetta All Day. It's in Santa Monica. And we were having breakfast. We were talking about life and professional life and all that stuff.
I remember now. I remember you were talking about, yes, I remember. Go ahead.
Yes. And then you literally said, hey, I have an idea that's going to melt your face. Like those are the words you use. And like, no one says I have an idea that's going to melt your face. So I was like, okay, you have my attention. That's like the hook. You got to deliver now. Like, what is this thing? He's like, it's an investment idea that's going to literally melt your face. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. And I thought it was going to be some like new social platform or some new thing that was like in the worlds that we live in. And you're like, basketball cards. I was just like, what about basketball cards? You're like, I'm buying basketball cards. And I thought you had some source. I was like, where are you buying basketball cards? eBay. Where are you selling these basketball cards? eBay. Wait, hold on. So you're buying basketball cards on a public marketplace to sell them on that same public marketplace. And you're telling me that's like a good investment? And you're like, absolutely. So like I dipped my toe in the water, and everything that you said to buy at the time, like, it's like gone up 15x or something disgusting in 1 year.
You hear that, Andrea? 15x.
Absurd. And then we got hooked on StockX because at the time, StockX hadn't had trading cards. They just did sneakers and streetwear. And then that second that that team, Josh and team, like brought trading cards into the mix, it was just like floodgates.
Did you know that was an important inflection point? Like you were like, okay, that's interesting.
I mean, StockX is this, basically culture. And I don't mean like the second, market for culture. Like they're literally able to drive what's hot to youth. And I feel like by them getting into
what's the learning in there as somebody who's so tapped in? What's the insight, or what can people, like, what do you tell people as being somebody who really sees things when you hear something crazy like that? Like, actually, like if somebody said, what did you, after this scene, somebody hits you up in a couple of minutes, like, what did you learn from that? Like, what can somebody who's watching, because obviously it's a funny story and people like, but for you, like, when you, like, you're so young, like, what happens the next time you hear something like that? Like, how are you going to play that? Like, do you judge like, I'm a big fan of judge the judger. The thing that pissed me off with all my friends that didn't move, like, you remember you've been giving me accolades for 15 years of always being right about stuff. Why was this one so hard to fathom? Like, I'm trying to figure out what, you know, instead of us just telling a story here for thousands that are watching, what's the thing to learn? Is it do real homework when you hear something? Is it never say no and say yes, try a little? Like, what's something
No, I think you just got to think about the source, kind of what you just said about judging the judger. Like, no one person has their pulse on culture at all times across all things. It's just not possible, right? So you get a few people that you trust because they have their pulse on new music, or they have their pulse on new trends, or they have their pulse on whatever. And if you just sort of lean in and you accept the fact that they might see something ahead of the time, or they might have awareness to something before you do, you just start to experiment and then lean in. And then once you realize it's the thing, you go in heavy. And that's the exact analogy with the sports cards. Like, you said it, I did a bit. I realized I should have done a lot more, but it's all good because now I have time to make up for it, and it's fine.
What do you most, I'm blown away by TikTok's innovation of product speed. I'm actually pumped that TikTok's on the scene because it's making another platform I like a lot of competitors, Instagram. I think I can feel it, that they're being forced to innovate because how fast you're innovating. Have you, you've been in a lot of places. Is my observation right? Is the speed of innovation pretty remarkable?
The speed at TikTok is incredible. I think it's a 2-year-old company, but we're starting to behave more like a 10-year-old brand. We're up leveling our game in terms of the product, the new features, the way that we bring new things to market, what we're testing and innovating, and then ultimately like how we're going to bring the marketing to life. It won't feel like a 2-year-old company, which I think is the most exciting part of what I'm doing.
Last 30 seconds, anything people should be thinking about or any value prop?
I mean, it's a place to have fun. Like, I'd say, like, most people, you hear all the news and you hear all the press, and at the end of the day, like, this is truly a community where people want to express themselves creatively and they want to bring joy to others. And you're on the platform, and you obviously been advocating for a while. Like, all the stuff that you see, you leave the platform after you've looked at it for however long, and you feel like good. Whereas, yeah, you're smiling. Whereas, like, I'm on other platforms sometimes, and like, no knock on them. But like,
I'm anxious when I go on Twitter now.
Exactly.
I'm never anxious, so I'm like, ooh, it's heavy in there.
It's heavy, but like, this is almost like the nice, happy corner of the internet that people are just starting to find and realizing that it's actually impacting culture at scale. And I think that's what I enjoy about it. Like, it's really a fun place to be.
I love it, Nick. Thank you so much, man. I wish you continued success.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Hey, everybody on YouTube. First of all, thank you so much. So humbled for your time. I don't wear a watch, but time is the biggest asset. So thank you for watching that video. If you got some value out of that, there's plenty more where that came from. Feel free to check it out.